All right. Hey, Justin, you
How are
can
you?
hear me okay?
I can.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking some time with us. Big announcement, big day. I know most of us were watching on the social media channels as well as NASCAR.com. So we have a ton of questions for you. We're going to get right into those. As a reminder, if you have them for Justin, raise your hand and I will call on you, or you can send me a chat and we will kick things off with Jenna Fryer. Go ahead, Jenna.
Justin, congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm curious, did you just cold call Chip? What was that first conversation? Were you just fishing?
Well, I thought about it for a few weeks before I worked up the courage to just do it. I mean, I think there's a lesson here, and sometimes you just gotta make the call, and that's what I did. And I called him and I said, look, I'm in a process right now, or a point in time right now, where I'm trying to identify opportunities to grow in this space and to create a great future for Trackhouse. And I just asked, that includes charters, that includes the potential acquisition of an entire operation. And if that's a conversation you'd be interested in having, then I'll come to Pittsburgh and we'll have an adult conversation about it.
And was he interested in the conversation right away, or did further talks have to?
Yeah, no, I think he was interested in hearing what I had to say. And I think, we've known each other for some time now, and obviously I raced for them, and we have a great relationship. We always got along. And I said, if you're willing to talk, I'll fly up there and we'll sit in your office and talk. And he was very willing to do that. So I think maybe he didn't know how serious it was, but I was going to come to him and he was interested in learning. And we had a great conversation that day and started the process.
I got to ask, how much did you pay?
I can't talk about that, Jenna. These are private transactions between two private companies, obviously confidentiality in the agreement.
Yeah, I know. I just had to ask. Thank you.
I understand.
All right, we're going to take our next question from Bob Pockers. Go ahead, Bob.
I think you're on mute, Bob. Can't hear you, Bob.
Oh, try again, Bob.
Okay, are Justin or Ross Chastain and Kurt Busch, are they among the potential drivers, or are they kind of considered free agents even more now? And, kind of what are you looking for in that second driver?
Yeah, we have to obviously go through that process and have that conversation, but at the onset, those two are the top two that would be under consideration. Like I said, I mean, it's not just drivers. The fact there's a lot of great people there, and we want to try to retain as much of that talent as we possibly can moving into the next gen era. I think when it comes to the discussion of drivers, that's certainly where we're going to start, is with those two.
And what about, will you have any sort of alliance with anybody? And I assume you kind of use the Hendrick ECR engine package now. Would there be any change to engines going forward?
I don't anticipate a change at all. I mean, a lot of the work that has to be done from here over the next couple of months is understanding, very intimately the Chip Ganassi Racing operations and how they manage different business units within the company, and then how that stacks up with, where Trackhouse is at right now. Obviously, the relationship with Chevrolet is very important. We have a great working relationship with RCR. We have to give them the respect first of exploring with them what a partnership moving into the future looks like. But those are all things we're going to be considering in short order.
And during the last 2 months, was there ever a time where you thought this wasn't going to happen?
I mean, I was hopeful, but you never know. I mean, you never really know. There was, a lot of things to work through, a lot of details to work through, and a lot of conversations to have with Chip. So, I felt confident because Chip's enthusiasm, I believe, grew through the process, and I felt like we were just continuing to get to a better and better place that was going to work for both of us. And this process started early enough in the year that I was pretty committed to seeing it through and not really working on anything else until I knew if this was a go or not.
All right, we're going to take our next question from Jacob Steelman. Go ahead, Jacob.
Thanks, Marissa and Justin. Congratulations. Obviously a big day. Would this have worked as well as it seems it is without your prior relationship with Chip? And to kind of follow up on that, is this an opportunity for you, because you've worked with him in the past, to really be able to carry on the legacy that he started over the last 20 years?
Yeah, I would agree with both those sentiments. I mean, I think that he was willing to listen to what I had to say because we've worked together in the past, and because, we've had a great working relationship, and it helps in anything you do in life with Chip to have one for him, which I was lucky enough to be able to do. So I think that obviously is a part of it. And yeah, I mean, like I said in just a few minutes ago, I mean, my career and his career, my life as a fan has been linked in a way to CGR off and on for 20 years. So I think this is a great motorsport story. I think the narrative here is great, and it just makes a lot of sense that this is the point that we're at today.
And second question that I've got, when you look at kind of the path that you've taken with Trackhouse, this has all happened relatively quickly over about the last 18 months. Was that always your plan from a business standpoint, or is this kind of an escalation compared to maybe what your original plan was?
This is a condensing of the time frame for sure, but I always did anticipate this being the trajectory of the company in some cadence. But this as the charter landscape kind of heated up a little bit. I mean, it obviously was important from day one of the year to explore these options, because we were leasing our charter. And while this is much more than just the acquisition of a charter, it certainly was something that's been important to be pursuing the whole time. But yeah, I mean, this happened very quickly, but I'm happy it happened quickly, because now we can just focus on building for the future.
All right, we're going to take our next one from Jeff Gluck. Go ahead, Jeff.
Justin, you've been very vocal in your frustration about the charter market missing out on some others. And recently it seemed like you were trying to drive the price down with some of your comments. Were you just bluffing at that point, or what was behind all that?
No, I mean, I've probably been a little too vocal maybe on that. I think the only reason why I had some of those comments was because, some frustration, because I was a bidder on no less than 4 charters before this point. And I know what those charters traded at, but things are changing quickly in the economy of this sport. And, this deal was not really done and papered until a week ago. So, I felt confident that we were going to get it done. There was no strategy or bluffing on my part. It just was me, trying to get a handle on what is a charter worth. And I think that where I ended up is a charter is worth what people, what the individual is willing to pay for. And every transaction is different and works differently for both sides. So no gamesmanship on my side, Jeff, really. I think I probably just had some frustration that I was working so hard and investing so much of my time into Trackhouse and was continually losing out these charters. So it's nice to get one closed.
Now that you do have a pair of charters, your other comments about how it was maybe potentially possible to run without one. Do you still feel that way, or would teams be wary to try something like that?
No, I do. I think it's possible. I think that, you're obviously, it's more expensive to run without one, and you're taking the risk of missing a marquee race like the Daytona 500. I spoke from our perspective in that I've got too many positive things happening, too much belief in Trackhouse, that if I was not able to get something like this done, I was going to pack it up and go home. That just was not an option for me. So I think every owner is different. I think that every enterprise is set up differently, and everybody has their different risk tolerances. For me, I was willing to race without one, and I believe that there are people out there that might still believe that way too.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take our next one from Dustin Long. Go ahead, Dustin.
Thank you, Justin. A couple of things. This original idea of going to Chip, with the way the market was and what the situation was with charters and looking at growing Trackhouse, did you view this as like a Hail Mary, or is this just a very precise and sharp business venture that any capital venture would look at an organization to potentially work a deal or take over?
I don't consider it a Hail Mary, because the Hail Mary, you throw the ball and you pray, and you don't have a lot of control after that point. And I believe that there were a lot of parts of this transaction for both sides that made a lot of sense for both sides. So ambitious, yes, 100%, very, very ambitious. But Hail Mary is suggesting that there's things that are out of your control. And Chip and I did work very, very hard together over the past 8 weeks to try to get to a place that worked for both of us, and we did. So it was calculated, but it was ambitious for sure.
Obviously 2 cars now. Look, you can have as many as 4. So are you done, or is there a hope of expansion and growing to 4, 3 or 4 cars by next year or within the next couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, I think growth needs to be managed. I know that might sound weird in this moment because we're only 19 races in and announcing this transaction, but I don't want to get over my skis either. I mean, I think that there's a lot of unknowns coming around this new car. We have to learn a lot about what operationally it's going to take to field the next gen car successfully. And I have a lot of ambition and a lot of passion and vision for this company, but I'm not going to risk the momentum we have right now and so many good things ahead of us by trying to do too much too quickly. So I think we could grow beyond 2, but that's by no means in the imminent plans for the company.
And also, last thing is, look, as you noted, you've come in a short time. We've seen what Denny Hamlin has done with Michael Jordan, the Live Fast, but also Matt Colleague. So there's certainly a lot of new ownership group. Is it a case the new kids on the block are changing the sport? I mean, I'd say that, Matt came in with a really bold thing. You've done something very bold here with today. I mean, that's making a major change throughout the sport. How are you new owners impacting the sport in maybe a different way than the old guard?
Well, I mean, I listened to all that, and I think that where my mind goes is that this is proof of concept for NASCAR's vision for the future. It's proof of concept for the new car. I mean, this is exactly what they were trying to do with this new car. I mean, the business model of the sport made the barrier of entry for new ownership just higher and higher and higher every single year. And it was going to take something like this to ignite a movement like this. And I think that we're proving that there is a lot of desire to get into this sport. The mechanism to do that has just been too high of a mountain for a lot of people to climb. But I think the promise of the new car is, in the model of the new car, is that opportunity for a lot of owners. I mean, Denny and I talk about this, and I think it's a common theme among a number of the new owners, and that this is the opportunity to come in when the sport's at a big period of transition. And I think the days ahead for the sport and for new ownership and these new teams are really, really bright. I'm very fortunate to be a part of it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take our next one from Nate Ryan. Go ahead, Nate.
Thanks. Justin, I just have some nuts and bolts questions. From the RCR perspective, I know that they kind of consider you guys like a third car. Are you anticipating that there'll be well, I guess, first of all, did they know that this was a possibility? Like how did they find out? When did they?
We notified them today. I mean, it was very important for Chip and I both to keep this as quiet as possible, but make sure that we notified our close partners, before they read about it on the internet, just out of respect and obviously everything that we've been working on together. So, yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot of paths forward at our RCR relationship. I mean, I think this shouldn't be viewed as Trackhouse is now fully autonomous and on our own, because these companies have developed some very valuable intellectual property and engineering resources and data sets and things like that. So we're going to be having those discussions over the next few weeks to sort of see what that looks like in the future. I anticipate there certainly being a relationship in some form that carries forward.
So like a chance that you would absorb some RCR employees and Ganassi employees, or how do you envision that working?
I mean, look, the 99 team is running really well right now and building some cohesiveness. I think that it would be important for us to try to keep that group together. There's also a lot of really, really talented and passionate people at Chip Ganassi Racing today. And it would be our goal to try to retain as many of those people as possible moving forward. And with that being said, I mean, CGR has 2 cars to try to get into the playoffs this year, and we have 1 too. So we want to be a minimal transaction as we work in the background on this.
Will you be taking any Chip Ganassi management as part of this?
I mean, like I said, there's a lot of really great people that have been working there for a long time that know how that place operates, and I'm looking forward to learning from them. We'll go through that process, but I mean, I'm looking to it is my hope to retain as many people as possible, for sure.
And you said that next year for sure you'd be operating out of Concord, but it sounds like is the possibility open that you guys could move competition operations to Nashville in 23?
I think anything is possible. Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of opportunity in that town. I think that, we certainly want to have some sort of a presence there. We've got a lot of momentum in the market right now. Obviously with our Tootsie sponsorship from Nashville and a lot of stakeholders, that I've been, getting to know well in the IndyCar Grand Prix that's coming. So there's a lot of opportunity for our company there. But it is for sure the anticipation we're gonna operate out of the existing Concord building headquarters for 2022, and then we'll start looking to the future beyond that.
And then finally, obviously, Chip said a couple of times that you made him an offer that he couldn't refuse. I'm wondering how many counter offers did that take you, Justin? Like, was it the opening negotiation was like right in the ballpark and he took it, or was it a lot of back and forth? Or
yeah, it would be inappropriate, I think, for me to comment on exactly how that went, just out of respect for Chip and out of respect for the process. Obviously, these were two business owners that negotiated with each other and got to a place that worked for both of us. So I think I'll leave it at that.
All right, thanks. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, well, that's all the time we've got with Justin. We are going to be joined by Chip Ganassi here shortly. So Justin, thank you so much. Congratulations. And we look forward to seeing what you and your team can do in the coming months.
Thank you.
Thank you. And to all of the media, I'm sorry if we couldn't get to your question. Please just make sure you limit your questions to one, as we have a lot of people on here that did not get to ask one. And if you do have a question for Chip, please raise your hand in the queue and we will get into that as soon as he's with us. All right. Hey, Chip, can you hear me okay?
Good afternoon. Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking some time with us. Big announcement today for you and your team, as well as Justin. So we're going to get right into questions for you. If you have a question for Chip, please raise your hand, and let's kick things off here with Bob Pockers. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, Chip, can you characterize maybe what it was like when you sold it? I guess Justin said maybe a week ago. Like, was it emotional? Was it a happy day, a sad day, just another day of being a business owner?
Yeah, good question, Bob. I think it was all the above. You reflect on 20 years of being in the, in a particular business, in a particular sport, and there's good things and bad things when you look back on all of it. And but I'd say it was generally a positive thing. I felt best about what Justin was saying about our team and our people going forward, and that's important to us. And so I think that made it a little more palatable, sure.
All right, we're going to take our next question from Jerry Jordan. Go ahead, Jerry.
Hey, Chip. Curious, I know that there's already been some changes in property and things of that nature of where the shop is physically located at. I guess it was last year, maybe the year before COVID. I think we talked about that. But how does that work with Justin keeping the shop for next year and then possibly moving on to another location permanent for them?
Yeah, no, I think that's all way up in the air yet. I mean, to talk to Justin about that, I mean, I think, he's taken over the lease there, so that'll be up to him what he wants to do. You'll have to ask him that.
Okay, and one follow-up quick. With your drivers that you currently have now, how did that conversation go? Because I just got on the call a little earlier.
Yeah, no, very, very, both of our drivers, Kurt and Ross, were professionals and been very professional about the whole process.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
All right, our next question will come from Jenna Fryer. Go ahead, Jenna.
Hey, Chip.
Hi, Jenna.
I'm curious, when Justin calls you out of the blue and says he's interested in buying your team, what's your reaction?
At first it surprised me a little bit, but I have to say that, after thinking about it for a while, it was very much reminded me of about 20 years ago when I was talking to Felix Sabates about getting involved in NASCAR. And, it was I felt like there's a lot of young, energetic thought being put into what Justin was saying. And, I think, like I said, I've said, with all the new blood seems to be coming into the sport now with Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin and maybe Keselowski and, Tony Stewart's had a team and Jeff Gordon getting back involved and all these sort of things. It's, the sport is ready for some new young blood and a new group of, we always talk about a new generation of drivers. And I think you're going to see a new generation of owners now. And I think it's a great thing for the sport.
But this new blood, aren't you a little young to be moving out for new blood?
I'm 63 years old, Jenna. I've been doing this.
Well, the other guys are 83 and
Yeah.
81, and you know.
You'll have to ask them that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we're going to take our next question from Jeff Gluck. Go ahead, Jeff.
Chip, this charter market, it just seems to be just going bonkers compared to what it was even a few years ago. Has that surprised you at all? Did you see this coming?
Not really. You know, I don't know. I didn't talk to anybody else about the sale of charters or the sale of our business. I only spoke to Justin. You know, you hear a lot of talk around the charters, but I wasn't really listening to much of that. Yeah, I mean, I think it's, you know, I think in some sense the charter is doing what it was meant to do, and you know, in terms of helping the ownership with you know, value their businesses a little differently or better, and I think it's working. I think the system's working like it's supposed to.
Why now? I mean, you know, the new car, everybody's saying, hey, it's going to be more affordable for teams, you know? So if that's the case, why not try to stick around and see what happens or something?
Yeah, you know, I don't know. I've been sticking around for a long time, Jeff, and you know, I enjoy the sport. I am not getting out of the sport. I'm still in motor racing with 3 other teams in, you know, in IMSA and in Indy cars and Extreme E. So I'm still heavily involved in motorsports. I'm not getting out of anything.
Thanks, Chip.
All right, we're going to take our next question from Nate Ryan. Go ahead, Nate.
Thanks, Marissa. Chip, I'm sure you might have heard Justin talking about it, but he's got the relationship with RCR, and it sounds like he's going to probably bring some employees from there and then absorb some viewers. Do you understand, like, or do you have an agreement with Justin, like how many of your employees he'll keep or about how many will stay on?
I think he's said it all, that he wants to interview everybody at our race shop and talk to them and hopes to retain a lot of those people.
And as far as like your management team, Chip, I mean, I know like Doug Dukart, I think, you know, kind of oversees everything is based there. Will the hierarchy of your executive team sort of remain the same with?
Yes, I think the hierarchy of our team is going to remain the same. Sure.
Okay,
yeah.
Great.
There's a group of people that are not leaving Chip Ganassi Racing. Right.
Great. Thanks, Chip.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Chip, I'm actually going to ask you a question from Zach Sterniolo. He was asking, while I understand financial specifics can't be revealed, could this sale have been completed in the same clean process without the charter system, or does this prove how valuable this system has become?
Yeah, again, I don't think the charter system is the main thrust of the sale. I mean, I think it's a piece of it, but it's also you know, it was also making sure that this business gets put in the right hands for somebody that has a vision and has an idea of what they want to do going forward and has a plan and has the money to do that. And that's probably first and foremost of what brought the deal together.
Thank you. All right, we're going to take our next one from Daniel McFadden. Go ahead, Daniel.
Hi, Chip. So Justin Marks, he's a guy who raced for you in the Xfinity series. Like, what has your relationship been like with him, starting with that period, and what did you like see in him as a driver that I guess maybe helped you convinced you to maybe do this, to sell a team to him?
Well, I don't know that anything I saw as a driver translates into I want to sell the business to him. I mean, in a driver, we saw a guy that could obviously win races. That's what he did. So, you know, I think we had an ongoing rapport that opened the door to this transaction.
All right, thank you.
All right, we're going to take our next question from Dustin Long. Go ahead, Dustin.
Thank you. Chip, you talked about the new generation of owners, kind of like the new generation of drivers. And I'm just curious, how do you see this new generation of owners making an impact in the sport now? And how do you think they might make an impact in the future moving forward?
Well, I think anything, like Dustin, I think anytime you bring a new group of people in with new, fresh ideas, some of those things will get implemented and some won't, but it's fresh blood, and fresh blood's good for any industry. And I think NASCAR positioned itself well to have fresh blood and all the things that come along with that.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take our next question from Bruce Martin. Go ahead, Bruce.
Chip, I guess congratulations are in order. 20 years, you had some big wins, Daytona, Brickyard, that time you had with Jamie McMurray was pretty magical. Got some big victories. Kurt Busch back in victory lane winning races for you. So how do you look back at the 20 years you've been in NASCAR? How do you look back and reflect on them? How would you like to be remembered in NASCAR for your accomplishments?
Yeah, thanks, Bruce. Like I said, you said it all there. We won some big races. I mean, we lost some big ones too. So I it's unfortunate when you've been in this business so long, you more remember the ones you lost than the ones you won. But we've had our ups and downs, and like any other business and like any other team. And I think we've come through it. With our head held high. And so we're fine, and as we go forward, we're still in racing, and I'm out of NASCAR now. I've been in and out of series before. You never know, the right opportunity comes along, I might be back in. But for right now, we're going to turn things over to Justin here at the end of the season, and then let him run with it. And I look forward to helping him make it a success.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take our next one from Dustin Albino. Go ahead, Dustin.
Yeah, hey Chip, you mentioned how Kurt and Ross have been professional through this. When were you able to tell them and the team that you had sold it?
Yeah, today.
Today. Cool, thank you.
All right, we'll take our next one from Davey Segal. Go ahead, Davey.
Yeah, Chip, you seem very at peace with this decision. I'm just curious if this were to happen 2 or 3 years ago, if Justin or anybody would have come to you at that point, would you have been as comfortable selling the team, or was this just the right time?
Good question, Davey. I don't even know that I have an answer for that one. Like I said, the team wasn't for sale, and it just someone called and wanted to buy it, and I had to take a look at it. I don't think I don't think there's any right time or wrong time in terms of what was going on. I can tell you, I wasn't thinking about selling the team 3 years ago, and I wasn't thinking about selling the team 3 months ago. So it just the way things happen.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take our next one from Jacob Seelman. Go ahead, Jacob.
Thanks, Marissa. Chip, do you feel that going forward, obviously, the business transaction is one thing, but as far as the legacy, this team has and that you leave, do you feel that Justin is the right person to kind of carry that forward and build on it, considering the past relationship that you guys have had together over the years in racing?
I think Justin, I don't think it's important for Justin to carry on the Chip Ganassi legacy. I think it's important for Justin to develop his own legacy. I don't think, I'm not going to feel one way or the other about him carrying on the legacy of our team. I hope he keeps an eye on some of our great people we have. Outside of that, he should build a legacy of Trackhouse racing. The legacy of Chip Ganassi racing in NASCAR is what it is. And, I don't think Justin has anything to do with that. I think, he needs to build his own brand, and I think he will.
Are you content with that legacy that you're leaving in NASCAR?
Absolutely.
All right, we're going to take our next question from Justin Schuler. Go ahead, Justin.
Thanks, Marissa. Justin Schuler with Kicking Tires. First off, Chip, we'll miss you in NASCAR. Thanks for everything you've done with the sport. I do want to ask a little bit further details on what was in the purchase. Mainly, does it include your affiliation with Hendrick Motorsports? Because right now, Trackhouse has an affiliation with RCR.
Justin, I hate to tell you this, but I'm not going to discuss any deal points. Sorry.
Okay, not a problem. Thanks.
All right, we'll take our next one from Marty Sakala. Go ahead, Marty.
Thanks. Mr. Ganassi, congratulations. You're one that's known for your message of I like winners. And with the way Trackhouse has performed in their first season, including the capability of leading laps, is this a move that can put Trackhouse in victory lane next season with the new next gen car?
I sure hope so. I sure hope so.
All right, thank you. Congrats.
All right, and our final question will come from Tucker White. Go ahead, Tucker.
All right, Chip, during your when you were giving a speech during the press conference earlier, you brought up the weekly grind that is required to pretty much take part in NASCAR. So how much of a factor did that play into you making this decision?
Yeah, I don't know, Tucker. I just think that, the weekly grind is what it is. I signed up for that 20 years ago. I mean, certainly 20 years of doing that. When you look at the schedule, I'm only going to be freed up a couple, 3 or 4 weekends more. So it's not like a big change in my life. We still have plenty of races to be involved in. And I think, but I think, I do like the idea of maybe not having to think about changing over to the new car and all that goes along with that. It's certainly a relief in some sense, but I'll certainly miss it as well.
All right, thank you.
All right, Chip. Well, thank you so much for taking some time with us. Congratulations, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.